Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we're just going to wait for everybody else to sign on.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. We're just going to wait for everybody else to sign on.
Hey, Gary.
Morning, Mr. Gonzalez. How are you?
Hi, Gary. Can you hear me, Gary?
Yes, sir. I heard. Yeah. Yeah. Say good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Morning, Alejandro.
Good morning.
Thanks. Good morning.
I don't know if we're going to need you on any of these, but you're here just in case.
I'm just here in case.
Yes.
I'm here. I'm just here in case. I'm here just in case.
Yes.
Ay, ay,
I don't know if we have a docket tomorrow,
ay. Okay.
but I'll let you know
Thank you so much.
once I know.
You will tell me.
Okay.
Smell off the guns. How's your turkey coffee? How do you turkey coffee? Fine.
Yeah.
The same rules apply unless whether you sit in the room or not.
Yeah. I'll just take for start ring at the top. Yeah.
Morning, Mr. Mann. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
Hey, Jason, good morning.
Good morning.
We're just waiting for the judge and I think a couple more attorneys to sign on. Okay.
Okay.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning.
We're waiting for the court coordinator to get on. Is there any issues on that 2019 DCL 7376 sensing Buchanan?
Your Honor, good morning, Judge. Judge, this is a divorce that has a condominium, 2 retirements, some cars, and a LLC that Mrs. Sensing owns, Judge. That's what we have. Jason?
That's basically right. Yeah.
And so our position, Judge, was that that each party keeps their own retirement account. I think that they had discussed that, and that the property on the condominium in South Padre, that be divided, and that Mrs. Sensing would keep the Island Handyman LLC along with any assets that go with that.
And that's basically what I think we were headed, but we haven't had a sort of formal agreement between the parties, but that's where we're at. I don't foresee it taking much time to get a formal resolution of it.
Okay. So when,
It's been difficult to get a hold of Mrs. Sensing for the last month and a half, but I can get a hold of her. I will try to get a hold of her down at the island and find out where she's at on this. But that is my understanding of what the parties were headed towards.
so what are we doing this morning?
I think this was set it for a trial, if I remember correctly.
No, I think this was the final hearing date.
That's what I have it for.
And I don't have it for that.
But, you know. Mr. Gonzalez?
Well, Judge, we're ready to go forward, but
Madsen,
I understand Jason's dilemma.
Mr. Madsen, he presented himself because he's got a difficult client and he can't get a hold of, and he hasn't been able to get a hold of it, and he's not ready. Am I right, Mr. Madsen?
That's correct. I believe that it will not take long for the parties to reach an agreement. This is sort of their second run at divorce. The first time we had 2-day temporary orders, contested hearings, and all of this. Then they reconciled for about a year. Now I think they finally agreed to be amicable and split it up. And I think we get there. But I'm just, like I said, I have not been able to get a hold of her consistently over the last month and a half. Is my understanding they were supposed to be getting us sort of an outline of their agreement, and what Mr. Gonzalez represented is where we were headed with the court. With the agreement is where I think we're getting. We're just not there, I would think, a couple of weeks is all I need in order for us to get there, or have a little bit of testimony, but that's basically the assets of the marital estate at this point.
Judge, I know that Mr. Buchanan wants to get this matter, pretty much resolved. And if the court was inclined to give Jason some more time, Judge, maybe could we do this maybe in a week or something like that?
Yeah, we're resetting stuff for Zoom real quick because we're not doing open court. So, Ms. Salas, can we put it for next week?
Yes, sir. Let's set it up for the 4th, June 4th.
June 4th.
June 4th.
Mr.
I'll actually be down on the island then, and which is perfect because that's where she's at, and I think that will help. She would just be with me on the Zoom call, because I don't know that she'll have the capacity to do it otherwise.
Let me ask you this. Is the divorce grounded on no fault? The allegations on the divorce are no fault?
Judge, our counter with the respondents, we allege adultery, Judge, as part of the divorce. So
There's faults on both sides. It's both parties of it.
I just want to know because I'm getting a lot of this unequal division request, but it's a no fault divorce.
Right.
All the claims that are filed are no fault. So under no fault, I cannot, it's gotta be 50-50.
Right, Your Honor.
That's why I'm asking, is there allegations of fault in the marriage? I mean, the dissolution of the marriage, and if there is, then that goes to the heart of uneven division of the assets, if it comes to that issue.
That issue may not arise, Judge. I think my client wants to get this over with, Judge.
Okay.
And
well, you got a date for June 4th. I see you both then. Be ready.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Judge.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Gary.
All right, Mr. Guerra,
Morning, Your Honor.
what do I have you on?
Lone Star National Bank, Valles. It's a status hearing, Your Honor.
Judge, and Mr. Valles is outside in the lobby.
Okay, so what do we do? I got Mr. Guerra by Zoom, and I can't do both of them.
Right. The only thing, I couldn't get a hold of Mr. Valles at all. I didn't have no information on him.
Well, but now you have him here, Ms. Salas, so go get all the information you need from him and ask him about Zoom. Remember the instructions I gave earlier that we inquire, can they have the Zoom capacity or not? And you get the information from him. You have him in front of you.
Your Honor, if I may interject, the Mr. Valles that's outside is probably his son. We ran a search in preparation for this hearing, and it appears that Mr. Valles, the borrower, the defendant, passed away in March.
Can you bring him in? Can you bring him into the courtroom, Ms. Salas, and allow him to be on a Zoom with the, just you let him sit where you're at. Don't get close to him. Just let him sit where you're at. Does he have a mask? Does he have a mask? Ms. Salas, does he have a mask?
I have the bailiff right here next to me. He's
No.
right here.
Is he wearing a mask?
Yes, they are.
Okay, well then bring him in and let's verify who he is.
Okay.
Both of them
Just Mr. Valles. That's the only one that.
Mr. Guerra, assuming that in fact this is the son and not the dad, and the dad passed away, do you have the estate substituted as a defendant?
No, and that's what I was gonna announce, Your Honor, is that we ran a search. We didn't find that there's an estate pending, so we'd file the suggestion of death and get a writ of seri facias to serve the next heir or representative of the estate.
Okay.
And that was gonna be my announcement, Your Honor, was just that that's what we'd be doing next, and probably amending our petition to name the estate or the heir.
Is this the one with the truck?
Yes, Your Honor, it was an
Your bank is
excavator.
trying to get a truck,
It was a
dump truck,
heavy
I know.
machinery,
what?
excavator.
An excavator, yeah. But this has been pending for a while, and you all didn't, am I remember that your client did not want the excavator back. They wanted the money.
Well, right, they just want finality. To be frank, I don't know if recovery is gonna be possible.
Well, if I was a
Right.
betting man, Mr. Guerra, I would say no.
Right,
That's very good.
but the excavator, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Well, I'm trying to remember the facts of this case, and that
Yes.
happened about a year ago or something. I remember that the widow had come in.
I just want to let you know that my mother is the one that has the. Oh,
The
okay.
widow, yeah, and she said, well, I said, give them the excavator. Well, they can have it. We give it to them, but they don't want it. Hello, Mr. Reyes, how are you?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. Listen, we're discussing the matters because I remembered your mom used to come to the hearings, right?
Yes, she's here present, Judge.
Oh, yeah. And I remember her telling me that your dad had serious physical and health issues, and in fact, he had cancer, I believe, right?
That is correct. He has recently passed away.
I'm so sorry to hear that. My condolences, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, your mother, I remember that. Your mother had told me he was in dire straits, and I was trying to get the resolution of it while they were here. And one of the things I proposed was, well, turn over the excavator to the bank, let them repossess it and sell it, and then give you credit, and then what the balance will be this. I explained to her what would happen, right? And I believe we had a follow-up hearing and where the bank said that they had inspected the excavator and they were not really interested in taking it back. If I remember that correctly.
That's right, Judge. We had sent some representatives out there, and the cost to move it and to sell it, the bank just thought we'd end up upside down on it, which would just add more to the debt. Obviously, if the bank always thinks that they can make some money on it, well, they would do it. But on this one, apparently it's not like in a shed or a barn. It was out just exposed to the elements.
Well,
And
that's the beast of industrial equipment, the heavy equipment.
right.
You don't put it under the carport. I
Well-
mean, by its nature, you leave it outside, and it's supposed to be hardy enough to endure the elements and then crank up. But anyway.
But yes, Your Honor. And so if you also recall on this one, we had in the hearing, I believe it was back in December, Miss Christy Cortez graciously had offered, while Mr. Valles was still with us, she was going to try to file court-initiated guardianship for Mrs. Valles, but unfortunately, it looked like there would, it didn't happen in time, unfortunately. So as I was mentioning, I think the next step on this one is that we have to file our suggestion of death and have the next heir or the representative of the estate substituted in as on behalf of Mr. Valles. And Mr. Valles, the one that's here, I apologize. I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Mr. Valles, let me, I don't know how much of that you understood, but here's what's going on. Since your father recently had passed away,
Yes, sir.
now the lawsuit has to proceed against the estate, your dad's estate.
Mm-hmm.
As I understand from Mr. Guerra, he has researched and there is an estate open after he died, right? He left a will?
No,
Yes.
there's no estate open, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
No estate.
No estate.
Well, and if you can you briefly share with me, Mr. Reyes, what if there was to be an estate open for him, what would it consist of? What would go into the estate? What kind of property did your dad leave behind?
Well, the only thing that I'm aware of is
Tell me it's the excavator. So that way
the excavator, yes, and
I can go back and try to get the excavator again.
well, the excavator is available, yes.
Well, okay, what else? Is that it?
To my knowledge, yes.
I mean, he doesn't, his home is his home and your mom's home, right? It's been home for a long time, right?
Correct.
And outside of that, they don't own anything other than the excavator.
That is correct.
Hey, Mr. Vice, and look, I know this is, it's informal, you're not under oath or anything, but to your knowledge, is it one or is it two excavators? 'Cause
One excavator.
There were two that secured the loan, but when the bank went out there was only one. Do you know if there's a second one?
I do not know.
Okay,
I only know of one in Harlingen area.
yeah, and that's the one that the bank went to go see.
I don't recall dealing with two. I thought they only were dealing with one.
That Mrs. Vias had said that there was only one, and of course, you know, she explained that Mr. Vias was the one running the business, and so she thinks that he may have sold it at some point.
Yeah.
So that's why our understanding is that there's only one. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, I've always known that your mom maintained that there was one. And
Right.
so, I mean, if that's the deal, then, and there's no estate open, I don't know what Mr. Guerra's move on behalf of the bank is going to be, Mr. Valles, but there might be an indication that in order for him to do his job and represent his client, he might have to file some action that will, in fact, end up with legal papers in your hand as one of the heirs, or maybe your mom's hands, as the heirs of your dad's estate, whatever it may consist of. It might be zero, it might be nothing, it might be the excavator, like you just said. But at that time, once that's formally done, that you're under oath, you can formally tell Mr. Guerra, this is all that my dad left behind, the excavator. You're welcome to have it again, you know, and that should be the end of it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, Mr. Guerra. Well, then you proceed accordingly. And hopefully I'll have a motion to dismiss or non-suit or your substitution of the parties.
Will do. And I'm sorry, what was your first name, Mr. Vias?
Eloy.
Eloy? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Guerra, Ms. Salas,
Yes, sir.
you've got all Mr. Valles' information?
I'm gonna get it right now.
Okay. All right. Please give all your information to where we can be contacted, Mr. Do you have Zoom ability, Mr. Valles, anywhere you're at?
No, sir. Not on my homestead, no.
How about on your phone?
Phone, yes.
Have you used it before?
No, sir.
Have you never been acquainted with the Zoom feature on your phone?
I've only heard of it. I've never used it, no.
Okay. Because that way, I don't know how long this thing, instead of having you come over here back to the courtroom, we can do this through Zoom, you know, like we're doing it right now. But you need to have the ability to do that. You think you can get the ability to do that?
I'll look into it.
All right. In the meantime, give Ms. Salas all your personal information where you can be contacted, and then right before we're gonna give you another setting right now, and then you at that point it'll be a Zoom hearing unless you're contacted and told otherwise. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
How much time, Judge?
Thank you,
Judge, how much time?
Mr. Guerra. What are you about? 60 days.
Yes, Judge, that should work.
60 days.
Let's set it up for July 23rd.
July 23rd. Mr. Valles,
Yes, sir.
keep that in your mind. July 23rd. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will you be excused?
Is write me down your email address.
Well, I can give you a copy of my driver's license.
Okay, July.
Estela, do we have anything else?
No, that's it. The other ones are by submission.
Okay. All right, we're all done then.
Everything's correct.
Bye, Alejandro. Bye, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Alejandro. You've been great as always. You finally joined us.
No, he's been there the whole time.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Hey, but in the civil cases, you don't have an outline of what to say, so you don't get ahead of me.
Yeah.
It's been some years now, Judge.
You've got that text down pretty good.
No comment.
All right. Y'all have a good
Okay.
morning. Thank
Okay.
you.
Likewise. Bye-bye.
Uh,
Bye.